Life in the water is governed by a set of invisible and incredibly strict rules. If you break one, it can be game over instantly. So today, we're going to uncover the secret science that allows fish to navigate these treacherous rules and survive in worlds that would kill almost anything else. And it all starts with a really simple question. It's a question you might have even wondered about as a kid. What would actually happen if a goldfish, a classic freshwater fish, somehow ended up in the middle of the ocean? Would it be okay? Would it die right away? Well, the answer is way more dramatic than you might think, and it unlocks a whole world of amazing biology. But before we solve that giant, ocean-sized mystery, let's start with a smaller one, something a little closer to home. Why do so many new aquarium fish die even when there's no salt involved at all? The answer really shows you just how delicate the balance of life is for these creatures. Okay, so the single biggest reason for deaths in a new aquarium is something called ammonia poisoning. And it's pretty straightforward, really. Fish produce waste, and that waste creates ammonia. Now, in a tank that's been around for a while, there are beneficial bacteria that break it down. But in a brand new tank, those bacteria haven't had time to grow yet, and the ammonia builds up to toxic and, deadly levels. Then you've got pH shock. The pH of your tap water can be a violent mismatch for a fish's internal pH. And if that difference is too big, the fish's body goes into complete overdrive just trying to stay balanced. And honestly, that struggle is often just too much for them. And of course, there's temperature shock. A sudden change in water temp, whether it's too hot or too cold, can completely crash a fish's metabolism. See, they're cold-blooded, which means their entire internal system is directly tied to the temperature of the world around them. A sudden jolt can be absolutely catastrophic. So you take all these things, the ammonia, the pH, even oxygen levels, and you get what's known as new tank syndrome. It's that tricky period where the tank's ecosystem, especially those crucial bacteria for the nitrogen cycle, just hasn't matured yet. So the big takeaway here is this. Even without a single grain of salt, the wrong water chemistry can be every bit as deadly as the ocean. All right, so now that we get just how delicate this balance is, let's go back to our big question about that freshwater fish in the ocean. The answer lies in a fundamental force of nature that governs, well, all life. Osmosis. The key to this whole puzzle is a process called osmoregulation. It's the constant, non-stop work an organism's body does to keep just the right amount of salt and water inside its cells, no matter what the environment outside is like. For fish, this isn't just a background process. It's a full-time job that have to do to survive. So here's how it all boils down. It's a problem of concentration. Freshwater is what scientists call hypotonic, a fancy way of saying it has a much lower salt concentration than the fish's body. So because of osmosis, water just rushes into the fish's cells, causing them to swell up. But salt water is hypertonic. It's way saltier than the fish. And here, the exact opposite happens. Water gets pulled out of the cells, causing them to shrink and dehydrate. Two totally opposite problems, and both of them are deadly. To deal with these two completely opposite problems, freshwater and saltwater fish have evolved entirely different survival playbooks. They are biologically engineered for one specific environment, and one environment only. Let's look at these two playbooks in action. Your freshwater fish is in a constant battle with overhydration. To survive, it produces huge amounts of really watery urine, and its gills work overtime to actively absorb salt from the water. Now, the marine fish has the opposite threat, dehydration. So it has to drink seawater all the time and use special cells in its gills just to pump all that excess salt back out. And sharks, they have their own cool trick, using stuff like urea in their blood to master their water balance. So let's get back to our goldfish in the ocean. Its body is a machine built for one single purpose: get rid of extra water and absorb salt. The moment it hits salt water, that entire system gets thrown into a violent reverse. Water starts rushing out of its body, and it goes into severe, rapid dehydration. It's a complete and total failure of its osmoregulation system. But here's where biology gets truly incredible. Just when you think you have all the rules figured out, nature shows you a jaw-dropping exception. Some fish don't just survive in both environments, they actually travel between them as a core part of their life. Meet the ultimate world travelers. You've got anadromous fish, like salmon. They live their adult lives out in the saltwater ocean, but travel thousands of miles to spawn in the freshwater rivers where they were born. And then there are catadromous fish, like some eels, that do the exact opposite. They live in freshwater rivers and migrate to the deep ocean to breed. So how on earth do they do it? So how do these remarkable creatures pull off what should be impossible? The answer isn't just some simple little adaptation. No, they accomplish what's fatal for our goldfish with a true biological superpower. It's called osmoregulatory plasticity, and that word plasticity means their bodies are incredibly flexible, able to completely rewire their internal systems to survive this massive shift in their environment. This whole transformation is an amazing four-part biological sequence. First, a hormonal switch flips, like an on-off button for freshwater or saltwater. Then, their gills literally reverse function, switching from absorbing salt to pumping it out. Their kidneys also transform, going from producing tons of urine to producing almost none, all to conserve water. And finally, timing is everything. The migration is slow, which gives their bodies the crucial time they need to pull off this complete system overhaul without going into shock. From a home aquarium all the way to the open ocean, the science of osmoregulation is absolutely incredible. But managing salt is just one of the crazy challenges that life in the water presents. There's another, even more extreme environment where the rules of biology are pushed to their absolute breaking point. We're talking about the deep, deep ocean. Depths of 8,000 meters. That's nearly 26,000 feet down. Down there, the pressure is so immense, it could literally crush steel. It is a world of total darkness and unimaginable force. And yet, life somehow finds a way. So the question is, what kind of fish could possibly survive at that crushing depth? And what incredible biological secret stops its very bones from being flattened by the weight of the entire ocean? Well, that is a story for another time.